I think we're trying to balance these paradoxes and ironies, because the paradox there is the person who least wants a diary and a structure probably needs it the most.
Yeah, right. Well, and I have some advice about that
too.
Please, okay, so let's say that you're a person that procrastinates and you don't get things done. Maybe you're creative, you have other things going for you. I would say, well, learn to use a schedule. And you think, I don't want to be hemmed in by a damn schedule, and it feels like a prison. And fair enough, man, it is a form of prison. But
it's also a form of order.
Well, this is and it's also a precondition for successful creative endeavors. So one of the things I recommend for people to do is to use a calendar like Google Calendar, but not to design the day they should have. Use the calendar to design the day that you would want to have, because you can make a calendar your friend if you don't make it a tyrant.
Yeah.
So you don't want to build a tyrant into the system. You want to be intelligent about it, because if you're going to schedule your time, you have to understand that there are things that you need to do, that you should do, because if you don't do them, you're going to fall behind, and that will be counterproductive. It isn't because someone's wagging their finger at you and saying that this is a moral imperative, even though that might be part of it. It's because there are obligations that you have to fulfill, or you fall farther behind and the obligations get bigger.
Yeah.
And that's a bad pathway. So you have to build some of that into the schedule, but a lot of it can be, well, okay, tomorrow, I want to have the sort of day that I would really be pleased at having by the end of the day. And I want to build in a schedule that I would stick to as well. And so you have to have some appreciation for your own weaknesses. Lay out a schedule and you think, well, would someone like me actually do that?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then you modify the schedule until you think that you would do it and that you would be pleased if you did do it. And then the schedule can start to become your friend. And I think if you're not a person who's orderly by nature, the schedule has to be your friend, because otherwise you won't use it.
So it's funny you say that. My most recent book that I launched is called Routine Equals Results. And it's a very short, concise book. I designed it to be, because you don't want War and Peace on how to manage your diary and your life. And it's pretty much exactly that. I think I'd just add a couple of little things. The paradox again, I'm obsessed by the paradox in everything. So you plan a schedule, and I think that your distinction of the end of the day you'll be pleased with, that's different from in how you feel in the moment.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Because how can you need to second guess yourself to know that you're doing the right thing strategically, but in the moment it might frustrate you. But at the end of the day, you'll be pleased. And so that requires discipline. So I think if someone sees a diary schedule as an initial test, so design the structure like you said, try and end of the day I'm pleased, test some things, never see anything as permanent. So, okay, that worked for me at the end of the day, that didn't. You've also got to monitor your energy levels, because we all eat at different times. And also, this was really important, once I created this, because I tested for months, what coffee to drink at what time, what food to eat at what time, obviously wrapping in my kids and my vision work and all the things that were for me non-negotiables in the day, doing some things I knew I'd wriggle out of, that I hate doing, but I knew, like you say, at the end of the day, I'd be proud that I did. Because discipline, while it's hard, is rewarding at the end when you feel that sense of deeper happiness when you've gone through it.
Well, and those things that you want to wriggle out of, if you do wriggle out of them, they
the pain is worse.
And kill you.
Yeah.
So you got to get on top of those things.
And then I found this important: let someone else manage your schedule, because I know what I'm like, and I'll wriggle out the very things that I know are right for me because I can.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have an assistant or even just a system, that you follow your diary. So you create the diary, you test the diary, and then you give it to someone else to manage it. Because the amount of times I'm saying to my assistant Louise, I don't want to do that, and she's like, you're doing it. Because you know that's the right thing to do.
Well, and you might need, like, it might actually be, you say, well, you don't want to do it. It isn't that all of you is saying that. It's like
it's the child in my moment.
51% of you doesn't want to do it.
Or the decaffeinated me.
Yeah, well, could easily be. But then if you have someone else come along and say, no, you need to do it, then the 49% of you that wants to do it all of a sudden wins, because it gets that little extra boost.
Yeah.
And so it is really useful too to know where your weaknesses are, and then to help and to institute people around you who will buttress you at your weak points. So, and everyone has their weak points. They're the counterpart to their strong points.
So this is again the paradox thing, that like I really want to get this message out that you cannot have one without the other. You can't have all the upside without the downside.
Yeah.
And I think most of us, it's easy to see downside when it's there. We're probably all focused on that. And when we're feeling good, it's easy to see upside. And if I think of anything good in my life that's happened, business, financial, whatever, it's in seeing the upside when all I initially would have seen is downside, and vice versa. So any team members around you that challenge you, that you might ordinarily push away, see the upside in their skill traits and their personality traits. Like the people who hold you back, well, actually they stop you making mistakes, and they pre-select your ideas for you and let you go with the ones that really are good.
Yeah, they also sort of represent the resistant marketplace, right? So if you have a scheme that you're putting forward and you can't sell it internally, well, those people are representative of, at least in part, of the people you're going to try to sell to externally. And so again, that's the advantage of quick failure. If you can't make the sale within your own organization, it's like, well, that's possibly because what you're selling isn't going to sell. So, or you're not very good at selling it. You haven't crafted your message properly. One of the things you pointed out earlier with regards to the ability to tolerate strife and conflict and the paradox is that's absolutely crucially important, because there really isn't anything any different than that. There's nothing in that that's any different from actually thinking. Because thinking actually is conflict. It's the pitting of opposing viewpoints against one another, and it's very stressful and produces a tremendous amount of tension. But the question is, in part, do you want to figure that out in abstraction, even though that's very stressful, or do you want to live that out in the world? And the answer is, man, you better think it through, because even though that's stressful, it's way less stressful than living it out in the world. So. And it is so useful to be in that tension of opposing opinions. So even though it's hard.